Good evening. I'm Dix Astro Coach, and welcome to my live in-depth look at today's full Sturgeon Moon in Aquarius. It's also a blue moon, and so actually the sky is a nice shade of blue. It's dusk here in Malta. And I'm hoping, I've come out here because I'm hoping it's going to come up. It actually rises at, I think it was 9 minutes past 8 local time. So hopefully before I've finished, it will show itself. But the moon was actually full today here at 1 minute past 2 in the afternoon. And it's a blue moon, as I said, and that's very interesting because we get a blue moon only when you get two full moons in the same astrological sign within the same month. So we had the first of the Aquarius full moons, which was at like 0 degrees of Aquarius, and this one is at 29.36 minutes of Aquarius. So it's so close to just slipping into Pisces. Now, I started making these notes about 3 weeks ago. A lot, of course, has happened in the world in the last 3 weeks, but I always try and find a phrase to somehow describe what the energy of this particular lunar event is having for me. And I just wrote this down. I just wrote a bid for freedom. It's quite interesting in light, of course, of what's happened in Afghanistan this week. Where is there in your life maybe a sense that you want to break out or break free? Always good to think about these things, and I'm just wondering how you've been feeling with the full moon energy this month, because there are times when it's so difficult, so intense, that we all struggle a bit with insomnia, grumpy moods. All sorts of things can come up for us. For me, this last week or so has actually been remarkably kind of comfortable, and I've slept well, which is unusual for me around a full moon, but okay, that's how it's affected me this month. So just let's look a little bit more at what the astrology is for this moon before we go into, a little bit later, your individual zodiac signs. This moon is, as I said, in the final degrees of Aquarius, which means that it is conjunct retrograde Jupiter, also in Aquarius. Jupiter moved back into Aquarius I think it was about a week ago from Pisces, where Jupiter has been dipping its toes in just to get the lay of the land before Jupiter goes there fully next year. And so Jupiter is retrograde, and in fact all the major planets, the outer planets, are currently retrograde. This in a sense puts the brakes on a bit, which may actually be very helpful. So let me just expand a bit on this, as Jupiter does, because Jupiter is a planet of expansion. Jupiter exaggerates. It can also bring lucky opportunities. The sun, of course, for a full moon has to be in the sign opposite, which for this full moon means it's in Leo. So we have the Leo energy of power, royalty, leadership, wanting to be out there center stage. And we have the Aquarian energy, which is about in a sense, humanity and about the world at large, larger groups of people. Aquarius is also about really connecting with those higher vibrational energies that are there for all of us to access when we want to. And Aquarius, of course, also is the internet. And certainly in the last, 2 years, because of the pandemic, or through the pandemic, we have all found that our use of the internet and social media platforms has increased hugely. Jupiter, huge expansion as it went through the sign of Aquarius. So what else do I sense about this? Well, I sense that with the energy of this moon, with the Jupiter and the moon, we could see revelations, we could see truth coming out around a subject or subjects that are very much in the public domain at the moment. But we're going to have to wait and see what they are. I mean, we know what's kind of heading the headlines at the moment with what's happening in Afghanistan. Also, that kind of overshadowed a pretty serious earthquake, of course, that took place in Haiti again. So you can see there's a lot of volatile energy. And it's interesting because Uranus, that sort of ground to a halt to go retrograde, it's now just sort of stationary, moving retrograde. That earthquake happened around that kind of time, and Uranus can literally, especially whilst it's in the sign of Taurus, which is an earth sign, mean literally the earth moves. So with Uranus, while I stay with Uranus, both Mercury and Mars are making a very positive angle to our retrograde Uranus. Now, Mercury and Mars are in the sign of Virgo, and of course the Sun is going to move into Virgo very soon, so we're going into Virgo season. Mercury and Mars are kind of quite interesting characters, because Mercury, of course, is all about communication. Mars is about action. Uranus is about the unexpected, suddenness, shocks. It can also be freedom and rebellion. So my sense is, because at least it's a nice aspect, it's a helpful aspect, it's a trine, that means it's gentle, that my hope is that the collateral fallout from what is happening, say, in Afghanistan, will be limited. And I think that the fact that Uranus is retrograde is helping to put the brakes on these events before they get out of control. Well, we hope it is. So that it gives the powers that be time to withdraw, regroup, and mindfully choose the best way forward. We can but hope. But, however, Uranus, again, as I said, is in Taurus. Taurus, earth sign, money. And I do feel at this time we may see fluctuations in the world economy again due to the current instabilities. And because it's retrograde in Taurus, to me it feels like we might go back to seeing a bit of an economic slowdown, and from the recent gains that the sort of world markets have made. And my sense is, for this next part of the year, is that collectively it would be wise to tighten the belt a bit and spend a bit sparingly, not add to cart each time. Sorry. I know it's such fun. But let's just look again back at the full moon, because Jupiter conjunct this moon is just huge energy. So even though Jupiter is usually seen as the planet of luck, opportunity, it also expands what it touches. That can even be our waistlines. But Jupiter has a shadow side, and this energy is kind of like neutral. So it's what we put into the energy that will determine whether it's positive or negative. So my feeling is world leaders at this time really need to stick with truth and transparency, especially around this full moon, and this energy is going to play out really for the next month or so. Otherwise, Jupiter's shadow energy of negativity could bring those in power down. I mean, in a sense, obviously that's already happened in Afghanistan. So that was also within the energy leading up to this full moon, because it was only just a week ago. So is it a good thing or a bad thing that world leaders tumble? Well, I guess it depends which side of the fence one is on. But I think Jupiter could bring, potentially, a really big ending. So we'll have to see what unfolds over the next few weeks. And certainly I think, you know, the Western leaders are rather in the firing line at the moment, because of what appears to be mismanagement over the events in Afghanistan. Let's see how this moon will affect us all personally. In many ways, what I've already said still applies, but it's kind of, you've got to dilute it a bit. And depending on the area of your chart that is affected by this full moon will determine whether it's to do with relationships, career, health, family. And the energy will build up and have been building up throughout this week leading up to it. I really feel it's important at the moment to be clear in your dealings with others, mindful of your thoughts and words. Otherwise, the explosive nature of Uranus, even though it's making a nice aspect to Mars and Mercury, it could get blown up into conversations you'd really rather not have started or engaged in. So, yes, there may be some feelings of mental exhaustion, physical exhaustion around this moon. So it's so important to pace yourself, ground yourself. We've got Earth energy where Uranus is, Taurus, Mars and Mercury in Virgo, Earth. The Sun is going to be moving into Virgo, Earth. It's really a time to connect with that Earth energy. Be mindful too that you don't get into overthinking, too much time on the internet, and believing everything one reads. If we do, it's not going to serve us very well. I know we all strive to find the truth, but I guess in the end, it can only be the truth that sits well with us personally, that really resonates on every level. This is my truth. This is what feels right for me. Freedom of thought and speech needs to be preserved, as we know. And as long as we're discerning in our research and we look for our evidence, there is no reason why that can't continue. So it is a powerful full moon, and by the 7th of September, when the Sun is very well resident in the sign of Virgo, we will get the new moon. And I think that may bring some order to what could be a few tricky weeks. So let's have a look at what's happening for you all personally. Okay, and if anyone sees, because the moon should have risen by now, if anyone sees an orange orb rising up above my head, please tell me in the dialogue. It would be very helpful. Then I could lift the camera up and point it at it. So let's start with Aries. Aries. I think you really need to be proud of the progress you've been making with a particular dream of yours. because there's every chance that this full moon could see a big shift in connection with this dream. And I think you'll also be adding the finishing touches to a new way of working. So you're going to be fine-tuning your ways of communicating with people, and quite assertively. So that's okay, Aries. Taurus. Okay. Well, Taurus, there is an abundance of success available to you around a current project which takes off in a very positive way with this full moon. And you know what, Taurus? Sometimes you're quite, I think, not always kind to yourself, Taurus. I think you give yourself quite a hard time every now and then and resort to the fridge and comfort food. But I think you should use this energy to feel proud of what you're achieving, and that will spur you on to greater success. You are doing it, Taurus, and you will continue to move forward to your destination. Gemini. Wow, Gemini, a spiritual breakthrough is quite possible with this full moon energy. It's as if a deeper understanding of your roots finally helps you to move on from an issue that maybe has blocked you from moving forward for quite some time. And also, just as an aside to that, there could be an opportunity to travel, which, with this full moon energy, it's making a longed for journey become much more realistically possible. So I think you can safely look on the internet at flights. Cancer. Cancer. It really is time to let go of a situation that really doesn't serve you well. It will help you, if you use this positive energy of the full moon, to cut yourself free from a current difficult situation or a person. Only you can know what that means to you, or to make significant changes in a close relationship to get a better balance. And the freedom that you gain will spur you on to achieve longed for personal goals. Leo. So, Leo, this is all happening in your opposite sign of Aquarius. So this is the area of your chart which, of course, is connected with one-to-one relationships. It can also be enemies, interestingly, and it can be business partners. So this is what I felt for you, and you'll have to see where this sits or lies with regard to your own personal circumstances, because there is a huge opportunity that comes with this full moon to change the whole balance in a close personal relationship. If you've taken your eye off the ball with a particular person, because perhaps developments in your career have been really taking up all of your time, then this moon suggests you dig deep and decide whether you can look closely enough at this relationship and recognize the abundance that can come through making some significant changes. You know, Leo, don't forget, it takes two to tango. And now we move on to Virgo, nearly your birthday season, Virgo. So with the assertive energy of Mars in your sign, widely conjunct your ruler Mercury, which is our planet of communication, you're going to have plenty to say at the moment around this full moon and over the next coming weeks. I think you've got very itchy feet. I think you want to fly off somewhere or even fly off the handle. For someone who likes routine, even you have your limits, and this feels like you really want to spread your wings and break out a bit. So use this full moon energy to make some workable changes to your day-to-day routine so that you can get the break you need. Any sign of that moon yet? Nope. Oh well. Okay, so Libra. Okay. So some sort of conclusion to something or an ending comes at an opportune moment, enabling you to clear out, amongst other things, some mental clutter. There's an important ending. Now, I'm not suggesting that's with a particular person. It could be a situation that you've been involved with, or just a way you've been thinking that you realise just doesn't really suit you anymore. It doesn't serve you. Because if you let go of what it is that has been kind of holding you back, that maybe you've been ruminating on, then this will transform your life into something much more desirable. Scorpio. Okay, so you could be making some decisions, or have made, or are in the process of making decisions within your living space, your home, and it's around loved ones as well. And it feels as if this moon is enabling you to make some changes which you've longed for quite some time, because a lucky break comes with this full moon, possibly through a key relationship. You know, it's interesting because Jupiter can sometimes bring in a windfall, literally make the money available in some unexpected way, Uranus in Taurus, that one can't predict. So be open to sudden positive change and keep dialogue flowing positively at this time. Sagittarius. Sagittarius, you need to guard against any knee-jerk decisions around your work. Make sure the volatile energy that you may have at the moment doesn't make you literally throw the baby out with the bathwater. What you need to do is use this full moon positive energy to find a more workable routine, and be open to surprising suggestions from people, because they may actually have a point and it may actually be very helpful, the suggestions they come up with. Capricorn. So Capricorn, are you making decisions about property at the moment? Because I think it could be quite a good time to consider maybe you want to sell or buy or do something within the framework of your possessions that you want to perhaps realise some capital. And I do feel that any decision regarding financial affairs is blessed with the abundant energy of this full moon. And awareness will come in unexpected ways, as a much clearer path forward promises freedom from recent worries. Aquarius, where is your moon? It's not there. This always happens when I come out here, doesn't it? Never mind. Okay. The show must go on. And so Aquarius, of course, the full moon is in your sign. So I think you're feeling pretty confident and optimistic about changes you hope to make. Just make sure that Jupiter energy doesn't inflate you a bit, because sometimes Jupiter can really puff us up just a little bit too much. So just guard against that, Aquarius. But I do think you've got some radical ideas for change, and you may be shocking quite a few people with some of the ideas you've got at the moment. I really sense that you desire more freedom from responsibilities. What you really need to do is find a workable way through what's going on, and maybe with the help of someone else in your close environment. Pisces, finally, Pisces are two fish. I love doing that. Okay, well, Pisces, this is really quite interesting because what I felt was it's about fight or flight, and that fight or flight feelings are in abundance with this full moon energy. You've certainly got plenty to say to your nearest and dearest. But what I felt was there's like a kind of butterfly effect about you now, where you're simultaneously the chrysalis and the unborn butterfly. And you need to allow your wings to unfold and break forth. And the most important part, allow your wings to grow, allow your growth to come first before you help others. Well, there we go. So I'm just going to have a quick look and see. I can just see a very faint shadow over there that looks like it's just starting to come up above the horizon, but I think I will have gone off air before it actually shows. But anyway, enjoy this last night of the full moon energy. We've had up till tonight 3 nights. So tonight, Saturday and Friday, the full moon was glorious, and it will be again tonight. In fact, tonight it will probably be at its most glorious. And if you've got clear sky and you're in an area where you have good visibility, you will see on one side the planet Jupiter, because it's conjunct, and that's the sort of brightish, it's not a bright star, but you'll see it as a bright glow. And then on the other side you'll actually see a much fainter sort of planet, which is Saturn. So quite unique tonight to have both Jupiter, Saturn. Saturn is not conjunct this full moon, but it's still there. So I'd like to say thank you so much for taking the time to join me via Gozo in the House, and thank you, Gozo in the House, for once more hosting and promoting this event. It is always appreciated. I would love it, guys, if you could go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and check out some of my other videos. There's a great one up there at the moment about the law of attraction and the real truth behind manifestation. So I highly recommend you check that one out. It's going to be the first of a series of videos I do about the law of attraction and how we can work it in our everyday life, because I think it gets vastly misunderstood, or misrepresented is probably a better way to put it. So and also, of course, if you would like to have a one-to-one with me for astro coaching or life coaching, then my website can be found in the description box, and I would love to meet with you. So once again, thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you for the next live, which will be the new moon in Virgo, and that will go out live on the 2nd of September, although it's not actually till the 7th. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.